Every time the fog rolls into the town of Evershade, someone disappears. When former detective turned private investigator Felix Swift is hired by the worried sister of one of the latest victims, he finds himself smack dab in the middle of a mystery that may be best left unsolved. The mist hung heavy over the town of Evershade, clinging to the rooftops and seeping between the cracked window panes of the few buildings that hadn't been boarded up years ago. It was the kind of place that swallowed people whole, both literally and figuratively. And if they didn't do that already, the creeping tendrils of fog rolling in from the nearby bay certainly did. Felix Swift tugged his collar tighter around his neck, pulling the wool of his rumpled tweed coat over his knuckles. The wind had picked up since he had arrived, and now it tore through the deserted streets, whistling a lonely tune through the skeletal remains of a clothesline. He adjusted his grip on the worn leather briefcase slung over his shoulder and quickened his pace. He'd taken on plenty of missing persons cases during his career, but something about this one, about this town, prickled his skin with unease. His gut told him to turn tail and run in the opposite direction, but the case had come with an advance, a hefty advance, and his bank account was looking mighty bare after the divorce. As he reached the end of the block, the silhouette of his destination loomed ahead. A gas lamp sputtered on top of the weather-beaten Victorian, its weak glow doing little to penetrate the oppressive gloom. Above him, the fog pressed against the window panes like a damp cloth, obscuring the room beyond. Taking a deep breath, Felix mounted the steps and rang the bell, the sound unnaturally loud in the stillness. The door opened before he could knock again. "You must be Mr. Swift," said a woman, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen. "I'm here for Charlie," Felix replied, extending a hand that she ignored. "How long has she been gone?" "Almost 2 days," the woman whispered, gesturing for him to enter. "I called the police, but they haven't found anything." Felix stepped inside, shielding his eyes against the dim light filtering through the grimy windows. "What did your sister do for work?" "Oh, just seasonal stuff," she said, taking a seat at the kitchen table. "She likes to travel, meet new people, get a different perspective, as she says." She paused, then added in a low voice. She was working for the archives down at the university, researching the history of this town. Said there was something really interesting going on here, something worth writing home about. A shiver ran down Felix's spine. This wasn't the first time he'd heard such sentiments from one of the missing. There seemed to be a peculiar obsession with uncovering the secrets of the town, an unhealthy fascination with its past. As Felix began questioning the locals, the true extent of the fog's influence became clear. Every 36 years, when the clock tower chimed 13 times in the dead of night, the fog would roll in and take something precious away. A child, a spouse, a parent, sometimes even more. No trace would ever be found, no bodies or belongings left behind. Just an aching void where their loved ones had been, and then the cycle would start anew. The newest arrival would fall victim to the fog, adding another notch to the macabre tally. But why? What dark secret did the town of Evershade hold that compelled these people to uncover it? He sat across from Mrs. Eleanor Croft, her face etched with worry and etched again with age. Her late husband's cousin had vanished without a trace a year ago, just as the fog was rolling in. Now her son, barely older than a boy, had followed in his father's footsteps, disappearing without a whisper of wind. "My Eliza was right about this place," Mrs. Croft said, her voice shaking. "There's something wicked here, something ancient." Felix nodded, jotting down notes in his battered leather notebook. "When did your daughter-in-law move here?" "About a year ago. She was an archaeologist, you see, and she came here to research the origins of the town. She found some old journals, diaries from settlers who came here all those years ago. She said they spoke of strange goings-on, unexplainable events that the townsfolk tried to bury from the world." Felix felt a chill crawl up his spine. Was there a curse on this town? Something in its soil, in its fog, something that drove people mad with knowledge, forcing them to stay hidden within its ethereal embrace forever. He visited the university archive where Charles had been working, poring over old ledgers and dusty journals. As the fog pressed against the windows like a patient lover, he felt a sense of urgency. Time was running out, and not just for him. In one of the journals, he found a name that echoed through the ages: Alistair Croft. Was this the secret that everyone was so desperate to uncover? The truth of what happened all those years ago, and the connection to the missing persons case, their own personal lore? Days turned into nights as he scoured the town, searching for answers in the attic of the Croft family home. He found an old trunk tucked away in the corner, filled with his namesake's research. Among the documents, he found a faded photograph of a young woman with haunting green eyes. The missing link, the key to unlocking the mystery. As the clock tower chimed midnight, signaling the approach of the dreaded fog, Felix understood. He had finally pieced together the puzzle. The fog itself wasn't sentient, nor was it cursed. It was a natural phenomenon caused by cold air rolling in from the bay, carrying with it the moisture that condensed into thick fog once it hit the land. The real mystery lay dormant in the archives of the university, in the pages of old journals, and the artifacts buried beneath the town. His search had taken him all over the town, from the abandoned houses on Foggy Lane to the derelict church on Cemetery Hill, where he found a small shard of glass. Under a loose floorboard in the Croft family home, he discovered a collection of similar shards, each piece reflecting a different part of the story. As the final chime of the clock tower faded into the distance, he realized the fog was rolling in. The pieces of glass were from vials, holding samples of the very fog itself. The settlers had collected them, desperate to understand the strange occurrences happening around them, not knowing that they were merely observing the aftermath of an ancient ritual. For centuries, the townsfolk had tried to ignore the fog, pretending it wasn't there, afraid of what they might find if they delved too deep into the mystery. They built their lives on top of the secrets, burying the truth under layers of normalcy. But every 36 years, the fog would return, bringing with it a darkness that threatened to consume everything. He returned to the house, the weight of his discovery pressing down on him. He knew the fog would take someone tonight, perhaps his own client, perhaps one of the few friends he'd made during his investigation. He didn't know exactly what had happened all those years ago, who had orchestrated the ritual or why, but he knew the truth. The only way to stop the fog from claiming its next victim was to confront it, to embrace the darkness and unearth the secrets that lay within. With the strength that comes from knowing the truth, Felix stepped outside, bracing himself against the chilling tendrils of fog. The clock tower chimed twice, then 3 times, each chime echoing the beating of his heart. He walked towards the source of the fog, towards the bay, where the cold air met the land and the mist began to form. As the fog swirled around him, he reached for the vial hidden in his pocket, filled with the essence of the fog itself. Whatever secrets lay dormant within the mists, he was ready to face them, ready to put an end to the cycle that had haunted Evershade for far too long. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.